All right, so hey guys, welcome. This is Jay Hughes, and I'm here with my friend John Lewis. So, John, first of all, welcome. Thanks for joining me on the call today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Good to see you, as always.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too. So, John and I, John, we first both got into the origination business as street originator loan officers about the same time. I think you were a year or two ahead of me. I started in 95, and I think you were maybe a year or two before that.
About 89, 90, so pretty close.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You definitely had a head start on me. But
I got some more gray hairs.
Yeah. But so we wanted to have a conversation today and then share this with loan officers and potentially some real estate agents too, and just have a discussion about we got 2024 is right around the corner. There's definitely a lot of market uncertainty, and so we just wanted to visit about that a little bit and see if we could just chat, collaborate a little bit, share some ideas, and perhaps there's some things here in our conversation today that'll be helpful for some originators who are looking to grow their business in 24. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. That's going to be great. The first thing I want to ask you, though, is that you're recently retired, or we're going to call it semi-retired. So but I want to see, how are you doing? What's that been like? How are you feeling about that?
That's a great question. I get that asked a lot. And it's been good, to go from 100 to 0 is taking some time to get used to, and has been a little tough. I've loved the time that I've got to spend with my wife, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Because the different positions that I've had throughout this career, as you know, and you've been in the industry a long time, it can take a lot from your home life. And so now to kind of give back and spend a lot of time with Ronnie, I've loved that. But to not do anything all day is taking some time to get used to. So I have dabbled in other things, and I want to stay somewhat retired, but I still have a lot of gas left in the tank, and and I want to keep moving. I don't want to not do anything.
That's right. And you have a lot to give, and that's great. We'll talk about that at the end of the video too. Both of us are looking to do a little bit of some coaching again in 2024. And I'm excited to do that with you. And so we'll hit that again kind of at the end of the video. Also, by the way, we won't go into all of our medical records and whatnot. I'm 50 plus. You're a little bit older than me, but you did have knee surgery in the last 6 weeks or so too, right? So you've had it has you're retired, but you've had that was not a small thing, getting your knee.
That was not a small thing. That was a total knee replacement. And thought I was going to be back rolling in 2 weeks, and that's hasn't been the case.
Right.
But at least I had the time to do my physical therapy and recover and
that's good.
Kind of get moving again. But
who would have thought? 23 or so years ago, we first met, that I would have had double hip replacements, and you've had a full knee replacement now. We've officially jumped the shark. We are old.
Yes, we're doing old guy things. Yeah,
we're doing old guy things.
Yeah, but no, it's great to see you again, Jay. And it's you and I have had a both of us a very successful career, and I like to think our success has been because we've aligned ourselves with such great people and learned so much from those people. And it's nice now at this point in our careers to kind of give that back and educate others by things we've learned from the people we've surrounded ourselves with.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. It's been my favorite part of working with both real estate agents and loan officers, especially over the last 15, 18 years or so, both managing and also one-on-one business coaching with folks, is collaborating with them and helping them get where they want to go, and investing in that way. Because I had so many people invest in me, first of all, and you were one of those. You still are one of those. And so I just get so much joy, and I know you do too, just being able to give back. And it's fun, sharing ideas just like this. We're going to get into some stuff today that's like, it brings energy when you're collaborating and sharing ideas, and it's great.
It is. It is a lot of fun, and it's and I've just watched your career. We've been together at companies, we've been counterparts, we've
Yep.
worked at the same companies in different channels.
Yep.
You started your coaching company when I still stayed on the mortgage side, but I've watched you from afar, where you've taken several mediocre producers and helped them get to a high level of production, and that's been pretty impressive to see, and to watch, and to see what you've given. And so that caught my interest, I think, in coaching, because
well,
you
for
just
those that are watching, and you guys, there's 10 or 12, 15 guys, gals who I've worked with over the last 10 years who have really taken their business to the next level. And let's be clear, those guys and gals were excellent, and I had an opportunity to help partner with them to really help them grow. But at the same time too, like, there's been 100 different loan officers, several hundred if you count like group coaching sessions, a couple thousand, and be able to partner with them and watch them grow and build their business and separate themselves from their competition. It's like, it's awesome. It's awesome. And I know both you and I have been personally massively impacted by coaching, right? Like, in fact, like I know, like, you were, one of the things we talked about you potentially sharing is just like, when you were early in the business, like, maybe share that real quick. Like, what was it like? Or how quickly did you get business coaching once you got, kind of started getting your origination platform going?
So the very, very first thing that I did, and my dad was the one that told me this.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I got it. And I kind of jumped into this business thinking, now what do I do? And that was back before you get licensed, and you just kind of jump in and go. I didn't know where to go. And I was talking to my dad about that, and he just said the first thing I would do, I would get some kind of a business coach, a life coach, a business coach, somebody that an expertise on that can be a third party and hold you accountable to things, because accountability is huge in any industry, but it's huge. That can hold you accountable. You can bounce ideas off of, can give you ideas, and then hold you accountable to do those things that you agreed upon doing. And so that was the very, very first thing that I did. And then the very first thing that I was, that this business coach and I talked about doing was call all the top producers around the country. Just give them a call, see what it is that they do. And not just to mirror what they do, but to take all their ideas, and maybe there's a couple of those little nuggets that would fit my personality the best, but bring them back to this coach, and her and I would go through all these different ideas and think of things that people are not doing. So here's a list of all the things that these successful mortgage folks are doing. Maybe take a couple that fit my personality that I'm comfortable doing, but then let's figure out some things that nobody's doing, and then you do that. And that was that was the best advice I ever got.
Yeah. That's so,
and that really set me apart with my marketing and building my business, because I was doing things that no one else was doing. Everyone was, it seemed that everyone was kind of doing the same thing and going after the same kind of clients. And
and that's so interesting. And thank you for sharing that. You and I've shared tons of stuff over the years. I had never heard that story, so that's actually really good to hear. And it's funny too, like, that's a really humble posture, and it's great that came from your dad. That probably helped you in being able to do that. I had way too much pride to go out and seek a business coach early on. I will say, I did reach out to you. It was like, I remember reaching out to you. I remember reaching out to Ty Porter here in Boise, and a few others, and trying to glean some things. But like, as far as getting a business coach, I remember the first time I even considered it, you and I were both working for Battistain at First Horizon, and John Battistain said, "Hey, Jay, I think you should look into, getting a coach." And I was like a little bit offended, I think. And I also was like, I didn't really know much about it. And so I asked him, I followed up a little bit later. What do you mean? What do you need? Why do you think I need coaching or whatever? And so he started talking to me about it. And I'm like, this sounds like counseling. Like I don't need, and again, it really was, I had a lot of pride is what I would call it. Like I just felt like I want to do this myself. I've always done things on my own. And it was anyway, I do share that story I've shared that story tons of times with employees or with coaching clients, because I just think it's interesting that what I've done primarily for the last 15 years is coach.
Became a high level.
It changed
coach.
it really did. It changed my life. It changed my life. And from the very first coaching session I ever had, it was like it clicked. And some of the things you described, like the collaborative approach, somebody to hold me accountable for things, somebody to go to and just be completely honest about, here's the things I'm struggling with at work, or maybe at home, or maybe who knows what it could be about, but like somebody to go to and just as a sounding board and say, here's some stuff I'm struggling with. What do you think? And talk through those things. It's like, it completely changed the trajectory of my career, and really in a lot of ways too, as a husband and a father and every area of life. So yeah.
There's nothing better to have somebody and have their undivided attention to bounce things off of and help with ideas. And then that piece we talked about, that accountability piece.
Yep.
That is huge. That was so big for me, because I would talk about a lot of things, but I'd have a hard time getting to the finish line.
Yeah. And I think for both of us, and I think this probably would resonate with anybody watching. It's like going to your coach and being vulnerable about something you're struggling with is a way safer place to do that than going to your boss, right? Like going to your boss. I mean, you've been my boss, for a couple of years in the last 20 years. And it's like, and you're a safe person to go to, but it's still different. The coach client dynamic is different from employee boss, and so it's just easier with a coach because that's what the function of the relationship is. It's a place to just be completely honest, because if you can't be honest, you cannot grow.
100%. It's funny you say that, vulnerability. That's the one thing that this initial, and I've been coached my whole career. But my first coach was a lady named Nancy. And Nancy told me, you need to be vulnerable. Be vulnerable with me. Open up to me. Be 100% honest.
100%. Yep.
And boy, I'll tell you that. And then the things that we talked about, the accountability that she held me to, exploded my business.
Yeah. And literally. Yep. That's right. All right. That's great. So, hey, so we most likely got a lot of loan officers, originators, probably a few real estate agents, and leaders as well in the mortgage industry for sure. But I thought it'd be good to, again, just explore a little bit. You and I thinking about 2024 coming up and knowing this has been a challenging year in the business. There's uncertainty about where things are going to go. And with uncertainty, that often brings an element of fear for people, and fear, can be paralyzing. So let's just explore that for a little bit. What are your thoughts on, as we're moving into 2024, either things that people could be working on or how to overcome fear? What are some thoughts that you have?
Yeah, it's, use the word paralyzed. And you also mentioned John Battistine, somebody that we both worked for and a mentor, I believe, for both of us. And he talked a lot about that these kind of current markets are paralyzing, and people, they don't know what to do. And so they don't do anything. They let it paralyze it. But I think these kind of markets are the best opportunities for the future. If you're doing something right now and doing it at a high level, a lot of people aren't. And you're creating a great runway for yourself. And when this market does come back, and it will, it always does.
It always does.
Seen that. you're going to be way ahead of the game.
You mentioned something last week. You just kind of made an offhanded comment that you actually just went and visited, stopped by a real estate company office here in town in Boise, that ties into this directly, actually. So would you mind sharing that?
Yeah. So as we talked about being retired, I get kind of bored. And so I was out and about, and I passed a real estate office that I knew a bunch of the agents that are still there and that I'd worked with over the years. So I stopped in and just to say hi. And the office was pretty quiet, talking about people being paralyzed, not even going to the office, but the office was quiet, but there were agents there. And I was blown away by them all kind of coming out and just going, wow, mortgage guys here. This is awesome. We don't get anybody coming into our office. We don't see anybody. And it makes them nervous. And they're thinking, is my lender out of the business? Are more people getting out of the business? Are there still lenders in the business? What's going on in the lender world? And I was getting this barrage of questions, and I was kind of worried because I'd been out of it for a little bit. Hope I'm answering these questions correctly. And I just gave them things that I'd heard and that I'd read, and they were so hungry for information because they weren't getting anything, and it made them all feel good. And I wasn't just giving feel good information. I was just giving them information that I'd read about or that I heard about, or pointed them in a direction that they could go and research. And they all had said when I was leaving, we feel so much better. We just feel good to talk to somebody from mortgage. But I was kind of blown away that, because I know people have a lot of time on their hands, no one was going in. No one was reaching out to their agents. Nobody was making contacts or stopping in an office. And I'm thinking, there is so much because people aren't doing it. I'd want to be the person to do it, because you're going to grab business for when this thing does come back around. You're going to be ahead of the game. And this is such a relationship business. That's something that we've all learned over the years. Mortgage, real estate, building homes, it's a relationship business. People want to have a relationship with you if they're going to do business with you. And what a great time now to get out and build relationships. And then come with some kind of information. Hey, this is what I'm hearing about the market, or here's my thoughts of the market. You don't have to be an expert.
Yes, but John, also, like, what you're sharing is like you didn't even go in with a plan to like share something specific. And at least how my interpretation, and based on what you've shared, is like you asked some really good questions. You just asked kind of how they were doing and like what are they thinking, and kind of playing off that a little bit. It's like you're empathizing with them and just connecting with them relationally, and it obviously made a huge impression. Yeah,
there's a lender that you and I had worked with over the years, and he was telling me that he's been pretty good about going out and contacting agents and contacting referral sources, but he always starts the conversation with, what are some things I can do to help you? And help you in your business. Because he knows that he can get that person's business rolling. It's going to pay dividends to them.
You bet. Yeah. In fact, that's really good. And it makes me think of something. I didn't even share this with you, John, as we were prepping, but what I'll do I'm going to put a link to a set of, I think it's six or 8 questions that I've scripted out for loan officers that are just, and that's one of them, right? Like that, the question you just asked right there, like, what could I do for you? What do you need in your business? That questions like that. I've got just a quick 1-page tool with some questions. So I'll link to that below the video here, so that if people want to download that, there's some questions that are time tested that would work really well in situations like that.
That's a good thing. I think, in fact, I had a mentor of mine tell me that when you go out and you meet with people and you're building relationships, it's so important to make it all about them. You want to leave that meeting. You don't want them to know more about you than you know about them. You want to leave that meeting where you know all about them. All your questions were directed toward that person. Even in recruiting, throughout my career, helping build companies and being out in front of people and recruiting loan officers, I resist the urge to sell my company or sell myself. I wanted to build a relationship, get to know that person. get to know them, their family. And just when I left, I felt like I'd made a friend, and they felt confident in me, and just that I keep going back to this, but this is such a relationship business, and those that can build relationships and can take the time to really get to know the other party wins.
Well, and I think, it's a testament to what you have done in your career and what I've strived to do, at least, and that's learning how to relating to people in a way where you're able to as quick as you can, begin to build trust. Because when there's trust, like you mentioned, like feel like you've gained
all the barriers are
trust
put
is
aside.
right. Trust has been built, and people do business with people that they trust, with people that they like, and people that they trust. They don't tend to do business like like if you would have walked into that real estate agent's office and what's on your mind is, I'm fearful, I'm an originator, and I need to close some deals tomorrow, and I'm nervous about my own business, and so feel very internal and scared. That's all going to come off with those people. And so there's going to be that temptation to like throw out a bunch of information and try to talk about myself and try to talk about my programs and my pricing and my service and my company. And like, that falls flat.
It falls flat. It truly does. Yeah. And that vulnerability piece is big. Go in vulnerable. I learned a huge lesson on my very, very first real estate meeting. I walked in, it was Homeland Realty here in Boise, and a million years ago, over 30 years ago. But I felt I had to walk in there and be the expert and know everything. And I wasn't. I'd been in the business a minute.
5 minutes,
and I stepped all over myself, trying to be the expert. Instead of just saying, you know what, I don't know that. I'm new to the industry. I'm trying to build my business. And just start with that. Be vulnerable. Not walk in as know-it-all, and they asked me a question and I stumbled through trying to answer a question. I had no concept, I had no clue what I was saying. Well, and I learned a huge lesson. I embarrassed myself, and I went right back to my coach that next day, and we had a conversation about that. And she had said, "There's nothing wrong with being vulnerable, John. Vulnerability is enduring to people.
Oh, that's so good.
It attracts people."
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's one of those things when you're honest, well, especially being, first of all, vulnerability it's attractive, and it provides an opportunity then for the other person to then be honest and open and vulnerable. So that builds trust. But even like a new loan officer, and everybody's made this mistake where you're trying to like, and there is a fake it till you make it element, but like when you're trying to be an expert and you're trying to answer questions you don't know the answer to, like I'd way rather say, I don't know, but I'm going to get back to you, and I'll get back to you in the next, 60 minutes with the correct answer. Like now I have a reason to follow up.
Exactly. You just set the stage for a follow-up. Yeah. And then be damn sure that you do follow right back up.
Yep.
And
that's good. So one of the other things we kind of had talked about sharing, and I wanted to ask you about is, so thinking back again to early in your career as an originator, and this was actually a question that I asked you when I was I wanted to grow my business and get to your level. I think I know we were both you were working for your own, you owned Summit Mortgage. I worked for a different brokerage company, and we were actually, I think, at a countrywide wholesale President's Club lunch or whatever. And I was picking your brain, and I remember asking you, like, so, you're working with, well, first of all, neither one of us built our entire business on real estate agents. We tended to diversify quite a bit, but I did ask you about what you were doing to grow your business with agents. And you shared something with me, and I just thought that has always stuck with me. I've shared this little story with 100 different loan officers and real estate agents over the years. So what was that kind of habit that you began to build that was really simple but super powerful?
So the best thing I ever did in my career was the 3 contacts a day, and to make 3 contacts a day, religiously make 3 contacts a day, not a hard sell to people and to everybody. So if I was out picking up my clothes at a cleaner's, the person handing me the stuff. When I would leave, and I just say, listen, I'm a mortgage lender, building
Mm-hmm.
my business. If you would ever need a mortgage loan or know someone that does, can I leave you my card? Please call me. And it's simple as that. And I would do that to 3 people a day. And a funny story to that, it was at the end of a day. I'd made 2 contacts, hadn't made my third, and I was sitting on an airplane. And this will date me. This was back in the day where families could come up to the gate. You get off the plane, your family's right there. Didn't have all the security they have now. But I'm sitting on a plane and I'm thinking, I didn't make my third contact today. And sitting next to me were these 2 young kids. And I'm thinking, well, this is going to, be a waste, but I'm going to make my third contact
Yep.
as lame as this could be. And so I talked to these 2 kids and I just said, hey, I'm a mortgage lender and live here in Boise. And if your parents or anybody that they know may need a mortgage, have them call me. And I gave my card. And that was it. So I get off the plane and I'm walking down to the baggage. Great big guy named Ray. And he comes up to me with the card and he goes, hey, John, you're a mortgage lender. My kid just gave me your card. He goes, I'm in the middle of a loan right now and it's a disaster. He goes, can I call you on Monday and anyway, long story, he became my very best referral source. He owned a big business in Idaho. We became good friends. I
That's
got him through that
amazing.
one loan, and I did just a million loans for this guy over the years. It started off as I thought this was going absolutely nowhere, but I'm making my third contact. Even when I got busy, I made 3 contacts a day.
Yep.
And that in itself really got me going with my business.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's almost exactly what you shared with me 20 years ago. Although I had never heard that story about that. That's unbelievable that you gave your business card to 2 kids and 20 minutes later you're picking up your bags and that turns into one of the best clients that you ever had. That's unbelievable. But so powerful. And I think what I would just highlight for people listening, at least what resonated with me 20 years ago when you shared this was how systematic you were with it. That was the impression that I had, because I remember you didn't tell me the story about Ray and the business cards on the airplane, but you did make a point in saying that, like, Jay, because I think what I had asked too, I'm like, well, I'm busy. I know you're busy. I know how many loans you're closing. And so what do you do? Like, how do you juggle that? And what I walked away with was, because you had shared, like, it doesn't matter. You're like, Jay, I've had days where it's 6 o'clock at night, it's 6:30 at night. I want to go home. It's been a long day. I've been waging war on all these files, but I didn't make my 3 contacts. So I may have 1 or 2 or maybe 3. And so I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call an agent either that I don't know or maybe somebody that I met. I'm going to follow up with them. But that's what really stuck with me, is like, because it's like this in all areas of life. It's like, it's the small steps sequenced over time that really build gains. Like
it does.
Gains that last.
And in the steps that take you out of your comfort zone. And that helped me a lot. Every time I took myself out of my comfort zone, it paid big dividends for me.
Yeah.
And handed a business card to a 12-year-old kid, that was out of my comfort zone a little bit. But I'm just saying that it just, anytime, and again, that the coaching that I had always taught me that, take yourself out of your comfort zone. Don't do the same thing. Don't do the thing that everybody does, because that's the easy thing. What everyone else does is easy. That's why everybody does it, because that's the easiest. But do things that take you out of your comfort zone, and you'll find that there's not a lot of competition, because a lot of other people aren't comfortable doing that either.
Oh yeah, and to go back to what you shared a little bit ago about the fact that you went into this real estate agents or this brokerage office, realtor office, and there's a queue of real estate agents there who want to talk to you, who are dying for information, they're dying for encouragement, and they're telling you flat out, like we're not getting visits. loan officers are not stopping by. They're not stopping in. Like everybody that's listening to this, hopefully you hear that as massive encouragement that there's
Yes.
huge opportunity,
I
huge
think
opportunity.
people they're looking at this industry and it's, we've all seen these downturns. We've all lived them. This one's gone on a little bit longer than most. And it's been pretty devastating to a lot of people. And so people are doubting the industry. Is the industry going away? Is it changed so much that
Right.
What am I missing? And so that's where I think that the opportunity is huge to get out in front of people and everybody. And then another, and you and I talked about this with a great channel of business came from accountants and
CPAs,
attorneys, CPAs. And that was back in the day, that was a channel of business that nobody was reaching out to.
And I think that's almost the gospel truth even still today. Like with the folks, as you know, we've both worked with a lot of top producers. We've recruited a lot of top producers and managed them. I've coached a lot, and even dude, like some producers that the last 8-10 years have achieved at a really high level. Like there's very few that are targeting CPAs and attorneys and insurance agents and guys that own used car dealerships or plumbers or
other businesses.
Yep.
To go into another business.
Yep.
And be their preferred lender.
Yep.
And figure out how you can be their preferred lender.
Yep. Which really starts with a great question, like you mentioned at the top of our discussion, which is like, what could I do to help you? What can I do to assist you in growing your business? And you start to figure that out. People love to reciprocate,
and they do. And take as you're growing your business and finding success. I would always target some agents that were maybe newer to the business, but I knew were hard workers and I knew they were gonna be successful. I would help them along. I would help them. I would take them in, like when I would target, like I mentioned, some of these affinity programs with these other companies. I would take them in. I would try to get in with these other companies. Let me be your preferred lender, and here's a great preferred agent. And so pull them along with you, pull them up with you, and boy, I'll tell you, that creates some loyalty.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much opportunity. I think I shared this little story with you a couple of weeks ago about, and this was probably 6-8 years ago. And there's a financial planner guy in town that both you and I know, who's wildly successful. He's got a team of 40 investment brokers, financial planners. They work with really wealthy individuals. Their portfolios are with top 1% wage earners. And anyway, he's a friend of mine. I was talking to him, and our kids play basketball together, and we were talking about that. And I just kind of asked him about business and how he was doing, and he just shared in the midst of the conversation. He goes, Jay, like in the 20, I think at that point it was 20, 22 years or whatever, that he'd been doing that. He's like, I've never had a single loan originator come into my office and ask to meet with me face to face to talk about referring business. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And he's like, yeah, like it's never happened. I'm like, no one's reached out. He goes, I've never even gotten an email, like a personalized email. He goes, the only thing I get every once in a while is like a blast email. You can tell it's canned. You can tell it's, it's come from a list. Nothing. And it's
no
just
meaning
like
behind it. Yeah.
Right. And it's like such a great example of what we're talking about here, like with whether it's insurance agents or CPAs or wealth managers, like there's tons of opportunity.
Oh yeah. How cool would it be to be that one person that goes into this financial planner that you're speaking of? Because you just never know.
And wherever, we're in Boise, Idaho, wherever you're listening right now, like I can guarantee you there's 100 opportunities just like that in your city, if not 1,000, Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. And especially right now, there's definitely some opportunities right now.
Yep. Hey man, thank you for the discussion today. I think that's you know, I'm hoping this will be helpful. I know you are as well for originators and maybe a few real estate agents as well that are watching to give you guys an opportunity to for a big part of it is just like encouragement to step out, kick that chair out from underneath you. When you feel nervous, if you feel fearful about the market, if nothing else today, just remember there's opportunities out there. There's people waiting to hear from you. And and all you got to do is just put yourself out there a little bit and ask them questions about them. Put the spotlight on them. You don't have to talk about yourself. You don't have to pretend to be anything that you're not. Just ask them, how are you doing? What are your struggles? What do you need? And we'll link to some questions below the video, but hopefully that'll serve us as some encouragement to people. Any closing thoughts you have, John?
Just what you said about kicking that chair out. I love that. And I use that a lot, and I use it personally. And I used it personally a lot when I was maybe in that paralyzed state. Kick that chair out from under you. And you taught me that. You mentioned that to me several times.
Moving.
And I
just
love
get moving.
that. Keep moving. Yeah. So, but thanks, Jay. It's great to reunite with you. And I've always held you in the utmost respect and watched your career in coaching. And I've been very, very impressed and proud of you. And I appreciate the time today. This was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I love you too. And and for those that are, that are potentially looking for, a coach, both John and I have a few spots that will be available in 2024. So if you're interested, you can reach out to us. You can comment in the video, or you can reach out to us directly. But thanks for the time today, John. Appreciate it, man. Have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, Jay.